Oh, I'm back again with some more college football picks. But let's first take a look and see how I did last week. So last week I had my first total play of the year. I had Colorado State versus Colorado to go over 59 points.
Sting if you're Colorado. Sanders downfield, got him in. Horn, atonement, touchdown. He pulls it out, and we're tied. Harrison.
I got a little lucky. There was some overtime play. The game ended in the first four quarters with 56 total points, but they were tied thanks to a late score by Colorado and a 2-point conversion. And in an overtime, that sailed well over. There was a total of 78 points scored when it was all said and done. So that was a win. So good there. And then next I had Iowa State minus 3.5. Iowa State ended up losing that game 10-7, but I'll show you the clip. There was a field goal that appeared to be good by Iowa State that would have made it at least 10-10 in regulation. We'll never really know what would have happened from there, but no guarantees Iowa State would have covered the spread even if they called it correctly, but have a look for yourself. You tell me, do you think this field goal was good?
No good. Wow. Not reviewed, Rock. They did not call down or call up to review it. But it looks like it goes over top of the goal, but sneaks right in. I mean, is that not worth a look? Rocky, that's good. Wow. It at least should have been looked at, in my opinion. They call.
I think it was, but you win some, you lose some, and that kicker needs to kick him a little bit more in the center so that he doesn't have to worry about a missed call like that. Evidently, they weren't able to review the call because it was over the goalpost, and that's not reviewable apparently, which is weird. You'd think that would be, but it's not. Next, I had App State minus 9.5 taking on ECU. ECU got a couple of turnovers that turned into scores, a pick six and a fumble, scoop and score. So it was pretty amazing that App State was able to cover the spread given all that. They won 43-28, so they were able to win by 15 points. So I won that one. And then we have LSU minus 9. Boy, I knew LSU had a good offense, but it seemed like they just dominated this game from the get-go. It wasn't even really close. They won this game against Mississippi State 41-14, so making good on that game. So on my against the spread picks, I went 2-1 this week, and my total, I was correct on that prediction with the over. So on the season, I am 5-1 against the spread, and I'm 1-0 with my totals picks. So without further ado, let's take a look at this next week's slate of games. I actually have quite a few that I'm looking at, and here's what I have going so far. We're at the start of the season where we're still trying to feel out how good each team is. So far, Ohio State hasn't faced stiff competition, but this week they take on Notre Dame. Another team, Penn State, it's hard to really say how good they are. They haven't had to face anybody really tough. Same with Michigan. So shortly we'll see who's really good and who's just faced some easy opponents. Alabama struggled. Georgia struggled this past weekend. Even Florida State had some trouble. So it seems like this is a wide open season so far. No team is just dominating, and it should be a lot more fun moving forward. So I'm going to play a few more games than I normally would just because I like what I'm looking at and I have a better feel for how good each team is. Anything can happen any given Saturday in this case, or I think I have a game or two on Friday. So first game I have is Boise State minus 6.5 going against SDSU. SDSU came off of a game on the road against Oregon State. They actually held their own. They covered the spread, but they still lost. They're not a very good football team this year. It's pretty apparent in the games that I've watched of them, and I've watched a good part of most of their games. Boise State's coming off of a victory at home. I just think 6.5 points is not a very high margin. I think they'll win by double digits, but just to be safe, I'll take it at minus 6.5. So that's my first pick. I have Florida State minus 2.5 going against Clemson. This is not your really great Clemson teams anymore. I mean, we're past past those days with Dabo Sweeney and all of those high flying recruits that they had. They're just not as good of a team. I just think they're not going to be able to hang with Florida State's offense. Florida State struggled last weekend, but they're a better team than they played. Their quarterback got banged up a little bit, but as long as he's able to go, I feel very confident they will win this game. So I'm going to go with Florida State minus 2.5. North Carolina State minus 9.5, taking on Virginia. Virginia is also not a particularly good football team. They got beaten around by Maryland last week, and I just think NC State's gonna win that by double digits as well. That's what I'm going with. USC minus 34, taking on Arizona State. Arizona State has major quarterback problems. They got beaten pretty badly against Fresno State, and Fresno State doesn't even have all the high-powered offense that USC has. I think USC might even have the lead at minus 35 by the half. So I think it's going to be a blowout. I think USC wins. I don't see a trap game in sight here. And Arizona State's just not a good football team right now. Next, I have Rutgers at Michigan. Give me Rutgers plus 24. They're a good squad. I think they're not getting enough love. I think Michigan wins the game. Not even doubting that. But to give 24 points to a good Rutgers football team, I just think that's too much. I think Michigan wins this game. Maybe they'll cover the spread, but I feel pretty good. 24 points is a lot. This Rutgers team is not just an easy cakewalk. Even though Michigan's playing at home, they have a good team. Jim Harbaugh is back on the sidelines for them. I still think they're going to cover that 24-point spread. So give me Rutgers plus 24. Next, I have Iowa taking on Penn State. Iowa has to go to Penn State, but they're at plus 14.5. I'm going to take Iowa. That's a lot of points to be laying. Penn State beat Illinois, but it wasn't pretty. Illinois turned the ball over a lot, and they still kept it kind of close until, late in the third, fourth quarter, it started to get away from them. Their offense just couldn't do very much against Penn State, but this Penn State quarterback really hasn't faced a lot of challenges just yet, so I'm not sure just how great he is. He's young, inexperienced, so we're going to find out this weekend just what he's made of. Penn State seems to be a pretty good squad, but I think Iowa has a good team as well. I think Iowa's defense has enough going for it that at the very least they're going to keep this game low scoring. So I'm going to take Iowa. I think they're going to keep it close enough. I think Penn State will probably win the game, but I'll take those double-digit points for Iowa. Next, I have a couple total plays. We got Colorado going to Oregon. Unfortunately, they're going to be without their dual threat, Travis Hunter. He got injured against Colorado State in an ugly late hit.
Got to look at Sean Lewis, the offensive coordinator, a moment ago, downfield. Incomplete, but a flag down.
I just think this is going to be hard to score over 71 points. Right now, the over-under is at 70.5. I'm going to go with the under. I just think so much has to go right for the over to hit. Colorado at times just has trouble moving the ball for whatever reason. Colorado State was generating a lot of pressure against them. I could see this game being a lopsided affair. This is probably the hardest game that Colorado has played this year. I think they're a really fun story. I'm really excited about them, but this is going to be a hard game for them to keep close. And I could see this being a game where Oregon pulls ahead and just kind of sits on the ball, burns out the clock. And Colorado, as good as they've been, their offense kind of makes me feel like maybe they won't be able to generate enough points to hit the over on this. They barely hit the over last week. I needed overtime just to do that. So I'm going to go under this week. Next, and my last final play is Ohio State, Notre Dame. I think this one flies over 54.5 points. Both teams can score a lot of points. Both teams really haven't been challenged by tough opponents. I just think in this day and age, when you get two high-powered offenses going against each other, it can be really hard for the defense. So I think 54.5, you're looking at like 27 points a half. So that's like 2 touchdowns and a quarter. I think these two teams can totally do that and probably do more than that. So I could see there being some quick scores. This should be a really good football game. I actually don't know who's going to win it, but I'm excited to watch that one. But anyway, those are my picks for this week.